There are many important components of this KRT, some of which are implementing a system of school improvement plans or SIPs and annual improvement plans, supporting schools through increased maintenance and other operating expenses or MOEs, calibrated based on the school's readiness, and adjustments based on needs and on incentives based on performance. Capacitating heads of schools to implement SIPs and of schools and division staff in financial accountability and in the use and maintenance of relevant databases, and also improving accountabilities by requiring schools to report to their communities regarding inputs, processes, and outcomes relative to SIPs and to national standards of performance. The second KRT focuses on the important role of teachers as a driving force in improving student learning and educational quality at the school level. Thus, the second KRT comprises a broad range of policy actions that include developing and implementing a national competency-based teacher standards, or NCBTS, that define the broad range of knowledge, skills, and values that all Filipino teachers should aim to develop. Applying the NCBTS in performance appraisal, hiring and promotion systems, using the NCBTS for assessing teacher development, planning and implementing in-service teacher education programs, and aligning the pre-service teacher education and professional licensure system for teachers. However, teachers cannot be the only stakeholders held responsible and accountable for improving the quality of student learning. Thus, the third KRT is focused on ensuring wide social support for learning in schools. People from all sectors of society play an important role not only in supporting the work of teachers, but also in supporting schools and all the curricular processes that aim to promote student learning. To ensure that all sectors of society support our schools, it is important that there is a wide consensus regarding the important learning outcomes of our schools. This KRT, therefore, emphasizes the need to articulate minimum learning standards and quality indicators that all sectors of society will hold schools accountable for. The quality indicators refer to competencies of students related to important learning areas defined in the Revised Basic Education Curriculum, or RBEC. But the quality indicators also refer to standards related to teaching, instruction, learning resources, and even the management of schools. The idea is that if people from all spheres of society agree on what schools should be doing, people can support schools more, and they can also hold schools more accountable. Some of the policy initiatives in this KRT are developing nationwide standards for science, mathematics, Filipino, and English, and minimum service standards for inputs, such as classrooms, textbooks, operating costs, among others. Developing strategies to support learning in the 4 key learning areas of the different schools, and also enhancing capacities of division staff to supervise and support schools in implementing their SIPs or school improvement plans. The BESRA also recognizes that the learners can attain these various outcomes in diverse ways. In this regard, the 4th KRT emphasizes the variety of educational experiences that can help learners attain these learning goals. This includes having early childhood learning experiences, alternative learning systems, and other varied learning experiences to help students attain the highest possible levels of learning. The core idea in this KRT seems to be the recognition that diversity in the range of delivery modes for basic education would not only improve access to basic education services, but more importantly, it would also improve learning outcomes as it recognizes the diverse circumstances and resources of each learner. Finally, the 5th KRT refers to the Department of Education's institutional culture. The core idea is that the central government agency also needs to overhaul its own approach to improving the Philippine educational system, so that it can more effectively help students attain the important learning goals. Why is the BESRA a good reform package? Why are we hopeful that the BESRA is the promise of redemption? There are many important reasons why BESRA is a truly positive set of policy reform initiatives. Perhaps the most important reason is the underlying educational philosophy. All components of the reform initiatives are intended to help Filipino learners attain higher levels of learning and achievement. The higher levels of learning are defined in terms of cognitive and affective knowledge in the major learning areas that would allow the learner to participate effectively in diverse and complex life situations beyond the school and to continue learning for life. These higher levels of learning are supposed to be scaffolded on solid functional literacy skills in the mother tongue, in Filipino, in English, and in the key learning areas of mathematics, the sciences, and in citizenship. The educational philosophy also assumes a progressive pedagogy that emphasizes the need for the learner to be actively involved in the learning processes and to be strongly motivated to learn and to critically engage new knowledge and skills. The progressive pedagogy also recasts the role of the teacher as one who is a deeply involved and flexible facilitator of these learning processes and who is strongly responsible and accountable for the student's level of achievement. Finally, the progressive pedagogy emphasizes the continuity of the learning experiences in the classroom with the learners' lives and experiences in their families and in their communities. The educational philosophy is actually articulated in various documents of the DepEd, such as the Primer of the Restructured Basic Education Curriculum, the National Competency-Based Teacher Standards, various materials of different DepEd projects such as the TEP, the Strive, BEAM, among many others. From this educational philosophy, we can reify many of the positive qualities of the BESRA. First, the BESRA focuses on improving student learning processes and outcomes. I hope we all agree that any and all efforts towards improving our educational system are ultimately useless if they do not improve our students' learning. Second, BESRA affirms the need to employ diverse approaches to facilitating learning in the classroom. It does not advocate a one-size-fits-all approach to improving student learning. It also seeks to strengthen alternative learning systems, the early childhood education system, and other community-based approaches to helping students learn. Third, BESRA locates the reform interventions at the level of the school and of the classroom. By decentralizing the locus of reform from the central or the national, the BESRA allows the reform interventions to develop in a more appropriate way as these emerge and are implemented within the existing constraints and resources in the ground. In contrast to reforms that emanate from the top, which often do not take into consideration the exigencies at the local level. Fourth, locating the reform initiatives at the school level also creates stronger accountabilities to the community and allows for more responsive and more relevant school programs. This is in contrast to reforms that come from the central office of DepEd, whose officers and staff have almost no actual accountabilities to the local communities. Fifth, BESRA recognizes the important role of teachers and of teacher development in improving student learning outcomes. It looks at teachers not just as problems, but as key agents to making all the key reform thrusts happen. BESRA thus prioritizes building the right kinds of capacities in the teachers, from their pre-service education throughout their professional life as teachers. Sixth, BESRA builds on community school relationships, and it aims to strengthen such relationships by looking at the community as a resource for improving schools, and by ensuring that schools are accountable to the community. Seventh, the BESRA reforms are based on previous interventions that worked. The principles and actions embedded within the various policies and actions in BESRA derive from pilot projects of the DepEd, such as the Third Elementary Education Project, or TEP, the Basic Education Assistance for Mindanao, or BEAM, and the Strengthening Implementation of Visayas Education, or STRIVE, among many others. And also in other reform initiatives of the private sector, non-government organizations, people's organizations, local government units, schools and universities, among other stakeholders.